Every night at midnight, the ocean whispers the same invitation to the sleeping town. And this morning, someone finally answered. You arrive in Millhaven as the first rays of sunlight paint the harbor in brilliant golds and soft oranges. The salty sea breeze carries with it the promise of adventure, mingling with the warm, yeasty aroma of fresh bread wafting from the village bakery. Fishing boats bob gently, almost rhythmically, at their weathered moorings, their masts swaying like metronomes, keeping time with the rolling waves. Gulls cry overhead in their eternal maritime symphony, while children's laughter echoes between the salt-stained dock posts, their voices bright with the kind of carefree joy that only comes with a perfect morning by the sea. The massive stone lighthouse stands sentinel at the harbor's mouth, its whitewashed walls gleaming in the dawn light like a beacon of safety and permanence. Old Henrik waves from where he's mending his nets, his weathered hands working with the practiced ease of decades. Morning travelers, fresh cod brought in with the tide. Best prices you'll find this side of the Cape. But if you're particularly observant this morning, you might notice something slightly off. An unusual number of shutters remain closed despite the beautiful weather. Several chimneys stand smokeless against the crisp morning air, when surely fires should be warming hearths for breakfast. And there's something in the way the townspeople greet you, a forced cheerfulness, like actors playing their parts just a little too enthusiastically. Your peaceful morning shatters like glass against stone when young Tobias comes running from the docks. His small boots pound against the cobblestones, his face pale as sea foam, eyes wide with a terror that seems far too large for his 10-year-old frame. Something's wrong with Mariel, he gasps, doubling over to catch his breath. She's in the water, but she ain't drowning. She's just standing there, talking to the waves. Following Tobias to the harbor, you discover a sight that defies all natural explanation. There, standing waist deep in the churning tide, is Mariel Duckworth, the dockmaster's 19-year-old daughter. Her white nightgown billows around her like funeral silk. And here's the impossible part. It's perfectly dry. Completely impossibly dry, despite the waves that crash and swirl around her. She speaks in a rhythm that matches the ebb and flow of the water itself, her voice carrying impossible distances across the harbor. The words are ancient, primordial. They seem to bypass your ears entirely and resonate somewhere deep in your bones, in places where memory and instinct intertwine. When you call her name, when you shout Mariel across the water, she turns. She turns with a fluid grace that's beautiful and terrible all at once. Her eyes are black as ocean trenches, reflecting depths that shouldn't exist in any mortal gaze. And when she smiles, when she smiles, you see too many teeth, pearl white and sharp as coral, arranged in patterns that make your mind recoil from understanding. The deep ones remember their children, she says. And though her words are in perfect common, they carry the weight of fathoms and the whisper of things that dwell in places where sunlight has never touched. And then she sinks. Not falls, not dives, sinks straight down into the dark water without creating so much as a ripple on the surface. The sea accepts her as if she were always meant to be part of it. If you rush to the water's edge, if you peer into those dark depths, you discover something that challenges everything you understand about the physical world. Mariel's footprints, they continue beneath the water's surface, pressed deep into the seafloor, as if she walked along the ocean bottom with the weight of stone in her bones. That's a third one this week. Henrik approaches, his weathered face grave as a tombstone. His voice carries the weight of years and the burden of terrible knowledge. Third one to walk into the deep. But here's what's got us all spooked, friends. The others, they came back up, changed, and now they move between the houses each night, touching the sleepers' foreheads. Each house they visit, more fall into the deep sleep. Father Marcus, good man, been blessing this town for 20 years. He tried remove curse on young Willem yesterday. Didn't just fail, mind you. The spell, it reversed, turned back on itself like a serpent eating its own tail. Now the good father won't wake up either. As Henrik shares this revelation, a child's scream pierces the morning air, high and desperate and full of a terror that no child should ever have to know. You turn to see 8-year-old Emma running from one of those darkened houses, her small feet splashing through puddles that shouldn't be there. Her nightgown is soaked through, dripping seawater onto the dry cobblestones, despite her being nowhere near the shore. Mama won't wake up, she cries, throwing herself against you with the desperate strength of pure panic. The fish lady touched her head, and now she's sinking into the bed. Please, please help her. Inside Emma's house, you find her mother lying motionless in her bed. But something is terribly, impossibly wrong. Her body is slowly pressing deeper into the mattress, as if the solid wood beneath were turning liquid, accepting her weight like water accepts a stone. Salt water, actual seawater, pools around her pillow and spreads across the floor in defiance of every law of nature you've ever known. Through the window, you glimpse them. 3 figures moving with deliberate purpose between the houses, the changed ones. Their movements are fluid, unnatural, and their webbed fingers leave wet prints on doors they haven't even touched yet. Doors that begin to weep seawater at their approach. Please! Emma clutches at you with the strength of someone drowning. The grown-ups won't listen because they're all getting sleepy. But you're not from here. You can still fight them, can't you? Can't you? But even as she speaks, if you look closely, if you really look at this brave little girl, you can see it beginning. Flecks of deep blue-green creeping into her brown eyes, dark veins spreading up her neck like tide marks on a forgotten shore. She has perhaps an hour, maybe less, before the change takes her completely. And then the harbor bell begins to toll. But no human hand pulls that rope. Each chime echoes strangely, resonating not from above, but from somewhere far below, as if the sound itself is rising from the deepest trenches of the ocean floor. The very air seems to thrum with each impossible note. Emma goes rigid in your arms, her small body taut as a bowstring. Her eyes roll back to show only white, and when she speaks, it's no longer in her own voice. It's in that same ancient tongue you heard from Mariel. Words that seem to bypass language entirely and speak directly to something primal and terrified in your soul. Fanglui Meglafnaf, Cthulhu waits dreaming, the deep awakens. Gods preserve us all. Henrik stumbles forward, his face pale as sea-bleached bone. It's the calling of the depths. My grandfather, he survived the last one, 60 years past. Told me the stories when I was just a boy. Made me swear to remember. When the bell tolls from below, when the harbor itself becomes the bell, that's when the great old one stirs, the thing that sleeps in the deepest trench beneath our bay. Each soul they claim, each dreamer they take, it feeds its awakening. The child, she's got maybe an hour before she's lost forever. And once it has enough servants, Millhaven won't just fall asleep. Every soul will walk into the sea, and the town itself, the very stones and timber, will sink beneath the waves to join its drowned realm. Before you can fully process Henrik's words, Emma convulses in your arms with violent, impossible spasms. Her mouth opens wide, wider than any human mouth should be able to open, and seawater begins to pour out. Not a trickle, not a splash, but gallons of briny ocean water, far more than her small body could possibly contain. The water glows. It glows with the same phosphorescent light you saw pulsing in the deep ocean. And as it spreads across the cobblestones, it moves with purpose, racing toward every house where sleepers lie, seeping under doors and through window cracks like liquid moonlight. And where it touches, the walls themselves begin to ripple, stone and wood becoming as fluid as the sea itself. Through these translucent barriers, you can see the sleeping townspeople beginning to float, suspended in impossible pockets of seawater that exist within solid matter. Emma gasps one final breath with her own voice, her brown eyes clearing for just a moment, one precious moment of the little girl she was. The door under the lighthouse stop them before the town drowns. And then her body dissolves, not dies, not collapses, dissolves into sea foam that smells of deep ocean trenches and things that have never seen sunlight. The foam flows across the stones toward the lighthouse, leaving behind only the echo of a child's final, desperate plea. Around you, Millhaven itself is becoming part of the ocean. The boundaries between land and sea are dissolving like watercolors in the rain. You're standing at the epicenter of a transformation that threatens to drag an entire community into the depths of cosmic horror. The lighthouse beacon flickers once, twice, and then begins pulsing in perfect rhythm with the lights beneath the waves. Time is running out. The ancient evil stirs. The town transforms around you. And somewhere beneath that lighthouse lies the key to salvation or damnation. What will you do when the very ground beneath your feet becomes as uncertain as the rolling waves? How will you face horrors that predate human civilization? And can you save Millhaven before it sinks forever into the realm of dreams and darkness? The dice are in your hands now. The ocean calls, the deep ones wait, and somewhere in the depths below, something vast and terrible begins to wake. What would you like to do? What do you do?